Yeah, that's right. Hello, it's Joe here for joyridertv, live from the Wild Wind Boat Park once again. And hello to everybody who's just tuning in now for another absolute roaster of a Q&A session. Very exciting times. So to let you know what's been going on while we're just everybody's getting on board. If you're wondering why there hasn't been any of that usual high wind action coming from Joyrider TV from Vasiliki Bay, it's because we haven't been getting the conditions. Don't tell anybody, but we haven't had the good stuff for about 2 weeks now. The last day that we had, hey Mark, how you doing? Swaney, Europe sailing, hi, nice to have you on board. Yeah, the last day that we had the good wind, hi Ewan, was the day that I filmed the single-handed going for speed. Hi Aidan, hi Kuro 5150, I know who you are now, finally. Hi Kush, nice to have you on board. Yeah, so we haven't had the good wind. Hello, Steve-O, for a while now. So when the wind does return, hi Hayden. Hayden will be joining shortly. You have to finish up his classes for lunch. US school is weird. I dare say it is. Dacula Platypus. Nice to have you on board, Captain Platypus. Always a pleasure to be featuring some rare creatures. John Bishop, who's this guy? I like the one with the 14 main on the 16 with Silly Breeze. That was ace, you're right, it was. Hey James, nice to have you on board. Incidentally, that fella John Bishop, if you're into a bit of skateboarding and you want to learn so many skateboarding maneuvers, John is taking all of the skateboarding maneuvers to pieces and putting them back together so that you can learn how to do them. If you want to find new and exciting ways to hurt yourself, just head over to John's channel on YouTube. It's very high quality. Steve-O asked what any damage from the storm. We did pretty well, actually. We didn't actually have any damage at all to our boats or anything with our whole centre from the storm. We were very well prepared. We saw it coming. We were tracking it using the internet weather forecasting as a means of tracking what was coming. We saw it coming. We tied the boats down so much that even if there'd have been something much more, nothing was going to happen, and we nailed it. Hi Russell, good to have you on board as always. Final race of the club series this weekend. Looking for a good result, beans to be given. Oh yeah, definitely. I'd say from the start line, go left. Go left from the start line. Tips for tying boats down. Yeah, it's a good one actually. What we were doing was, because you could just drop the mast. If you see there's a lot of wind coming, this would be a very practical thing to do if you're running a one boat system. But when you're running a 50 boat system, dropping all of the masts and then having to put them all up the next day can be quite time consuming. So what we're doing, I'll just sort of show you over here a little bit, is we're taking the trapeze wires, taking the shock cord off, so then the trapeze wire is loose, tying a rope to the trapeze wire, and then taking it in the direction that we're expecting the weather to be coming from. So if the wind was coming from here, we take it this way with a long rope, tying it to something very solid, like perhaps a large tree or maybe a building or another one of our very solid tie downs. And that way we're getting loads of leverage from the top of the mast. And we were taking 2 trapeze wires from each boat, going sort of like in a triangle, so that we're getting so much leverage. The cuckoo clock is gone. This is going to shock you. If we flip this round, this is the venue where the cuckoo clock used to reside. It's now gone, replaced with a load of dinghies. That cuckoo clock would have come down. We used to have a cuckoo clock in the boat park, and if you'd have tried tying a boat to it and the boat moved, the cuckoo clock would have gone flying. It was quite brittle. It was built by a gentleman called Dave. I think that's obviously not accurate. Anyway, yeah, that's how we were tying the boats down. And Russell, I'd say go left off the start line and look for the best wind. That way, hopefully, you'll get the sweet wind and you'll be triumphant. We're also tying the boats down to the floor on a normal day. What we've got is we've taken these long pieces of what's known as angle iron, about, what is it, about 1.5 meters long, so about that long, with and it's been cut to a point at the end. Then using a sledgehammer, we've driven them into the ground with a we just leave a hole at the top, so a hole drilled through the top with a line coming off the hole, big stake in the ground. That bad boy isn't going anywhere. So that is our whole tie down system that we're using on the land. Very effective. All right. Dacula platypus. Do you lose a lot of performance by having an old boat that flexes a lot? Yeah, you are going to lose a bit. I'd say, I think once you've got a hull once the windward hull is no longer in contact with the water, then it seems that the boat flexing isn't going to make that much difference. Although when it flexes, one hull goes up, one goes down. It's going to do quite strange things to the rudders as well. So if you've got rudders in the water which are not parallel and perhaps are at funny angles, you are going to lose a little bit of performance. So what you can do, I'm kind of guessing that you're talking about a Hobie 16 here, is it's quite it's a bit of an operation. Let's go and take a look and get out and about amongst it. But what you can do with your Hobie 16 to take some of the flex, how did I know? To take some of the flex out of it, all right, we're just heading over to a Hobie 16 here, is where the pylon meets the casting. You can put some plastic or metal or something in there. I've heard people use, they cut up pieces of beer cans and put them up here, basically to make the gap in between the pylon and the casting smaller, and that's going to help to take some of the flex out of it. So there we go. There's a tip for reducing the amount of flex. What some of the people do who are racing the 16s is they actually epoxy the casting and the pylon together, meaning the boat is going to be stayed built for the rest of time. But that can put quite a lot of stress on the pylon in the where it goes into the hull, because the boat does want to have a little bit of movement just between the casting and the pylon, and that's going to take more of the stress out of where the pylon goes into the hull. All right, scrolling back. We're already in the scrolling back section of today's Q&A. Nice to have everybody on board. Sorry if I haven't said hello just yet. I'm just now in the going through the questions part of today's question and answer session. But my main news at the moment is we haven't had any of the sweet wind now for almost 2 weeks, which is why there hasn't been any of the high wind videos coming. All right, scrolling back. All right. Scrolling back. All right, here we are, just having a look. We got Panos. Hi, Pano. Posise. Hola. Yeah. Waiting for the forecast of next week. Oh, yeah. Panos is going to be here. It was Panos who was featured in the 200 kilograms on the trapeze of the Hobie 16 video, showing that, yes, you can go fast and you can pin that bad boy down. Hi, Matthew. Nice to have you on board. Hi, Adam. Love the videos. Anyone kite surf there? Yeah, I only kite surf here really in the winter in the southwesterly winds, which are more onshore. In the cross shore winds, which we get most of the time when the wind's coming across, it's much more suited to windsurfing because the wind is pretty gusty and it has to be really quite windy to be able to kite, because otherwise you get these pockets of no wind, kite falls out of the sky, and with the normal cross shore wind you can have a bit of a wind envelope where it just stops in the middle of the bay, and if you cross that line you've got no wind and you can't get your kite back up if you drop it in the water. Ooh. But in the onshore wind, and there's loads of good spots on the island, at the top of the island there's some really good consistent winds that we're getting up there. Okay, scrolling back. For some reason the screen's gone a bit dark, don't know why that is. Garamvari. Opinion about Nautivela 420s. Is it good for beginner? The 420 for a beginner's boat. Yeah, I don't see why not. Whatever you could get your hands on. If you need a boat to start off, the 420, yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't be a good boat for a beginner, but obviously the Hobie 16 is a much better choice. Hayden, question, how do you get the rig tension on a 14 with no trapeze wires? I saw you pulled the trapeze wires, take the stress. Okay, what you can do instead of using the trapeze wires is you can put your mainsail up, attach the main sheet to the boom, and then just crank the main sheet in, pull the boom over to one side, and that will take the tension out of the rig, allowing you to move your shrouds down. Funny you should ask, actually, because just this afternoon I've finished making a video on how much rig tension to put on without using a gauge. So this is using some different techniques to get the rig tension on. But if you haven't got trapeze wires, put the mainsail up, attach the main sheet, wind the main sheet in, pull the traveller all the way to the side that you're wanting to tighten up, and then that is going to do the trick for you. Okay, scrolling back. Okay, it's nice to have you all on board, by the way. Thanks for tuning in. Always a pleasure. Okay, then we've got John. It's not a great place to kite surf. John used to work out here back in the day, and yes, at the north end of the island, Lefkas town, there's loads of good kite surfing spots up there where the wind is really consistent and you have more of a beach to escape as well. Here also, if things go wrong, there's not much of an escape route on the kite. You're going to end up in the harbour, on the rocks, somewhere that's less ideal. So much better to kite at the north end of Lefkas Island. Okay. They're called a platypus. I'm looking forward to buying one. Hopefully I'll end up in Show Us Your Cat. That is a great ambition for anybody who's looking to buy a boat, is will this boat look good on Show Us Your Cat? And the answer is probably yes, it's going to look fantastic. So that is really great. I'm looking forward to that. And if anybody's looking at buying a boat, I'm stitching myself up here, but if anybody's looking at buying a boat and perhaps there's an advert for the boat online somewhere and you want me just to have a quick look at the advert, let you know what I think, then please feel free to email me the link to the advert, and I'll take a look at it and I can let you know what I think. Email address is, as always, totaljoyrider@icloud.com. Yes, there we go. Fed. Fed. Hi! Exclamation marks. Good to have you on board. Jeffrey, good morning. It's from Hale, Michigan. It's quite weird that you're experiencing the morning there. We're actually in the future here in Greece. It's actually nearly 6 o'clock in the evening. Maybe you're just having a morning coffee, but it's almost time here to have the evening beer. How weird is that we're existing in different times? Nice. All right, just scrolling back. And oh, there's John giving me some unfeasible kudos. I think it was actually a mutual friend of ours called Pasty, who now is a kite surfing instructor in Cornwall in the southwest of the UK. It was Pasty who was one of the real pioneers, getting into all sorts of trouble up at the north end of the island, almost getting kite surf banned before it even started. So I wouldn't like to claim that one. Good stuff. Steve-O FX1, why have the fat bike videos stopped? It's because the only cycling that I do at the moment is my commute from my house in the village to the beach here, which is about a 5-minute bike ride every day. Perhaps I'll make the video of my commute from the village to the beach, but I only really cycle in the winter months, which is why I haven't been making any of the biking videos. And I think the biking videos do I don't think they upset people, but they feel that I'm focusing on the wrong stuff when I should be focusing on stuff like this, or that, or perhaps even a bit of that. Yeah, so I'll stick to the biking in the winter, but thanks for the question. I'm glad that some people like the biking videos as well. Wyatt P, do you know what a GCAT 5.7 is? I think we might have featured one on Show Us Your Cat, somewhere around episode 30, I believe. I could dig deep into the archives, but that will have to wait because the archives are pretty juicy these days. So yeah, if you really want to dig it out, you could just go through those previous episodes of Show Us Your Cat. Yeah, I should have kept more of a record of what I'd put in each episode for that purpose. All right, scrolling back. Adam, that's cool. I've been kiting since 2017, started when I was 19. Yeah, I think I started kiting when I was probably about 25. So you've got the head start there. If you haven't tried kite surfing, it is a really good sport. It's really fun and very practical. If you're going somewhere and there might be a bit of wind, you can just have your kite surfing gear in the boot of your car. I think in the US you call that the trunk. Put it in the trunk of your car and you don't even need to remember that you've put it there. And you go, oh, there's 18 knots of wind. that's a shame. I didn't bring the Hobie 16. Ah, but I've got a kite in the trunk. So get the kite out of the trunk and before you know it, you're out there. That is one of the beauties of kite surfing. It's a good sport. Alessandro, hi Joe. How do you avoid on a Hobie 16 your back foot being dragged? Okay, this is a maneuver which what would you call it? Not a maneuver. This is something that happens which for some reason back in the day we called it a Jesus lizard. Don't know why that was. But right, let's we could just pan this round and I can demonstrate here what is being talked about. Here we've got Bad Boy 94, of course. So if you're trapezing, the question was actually for the Hobie 16. If you're trapezing like this and you're getting water hitting your foot here, all right, we're just gonna come a bit further forwards. Water hitting the foot here, taking your foot off like that, just getting donked by the water continuously. What can you do? All right, it might sound a little bit oversimplifying it, but what you can do is try to lift the hull a bit more, power up a bit more by sheeting in. But I know exactly what you're saying, because there are certain angles where it's not actually possible to lift the hull anymore. This is one of the reasons why I've started going for these ridiculous broad reaches, standing right at the back, 'cause it's easier not to get knocked off by the waves. But my only method when getting hit by one of these Jesus lizard type occurrences is I actually just trapeze on my front foot. But I do appreciate that that is not for everybody. If I see a wave coming and it's about to hit my back foot and I'm thinking she's gonna go, I just lift my back foot up for a second, let the wave pass, then put it back on. But getting your feet really well planted on the back of the boat, let's go and have a look at the back of the boat. Get your feet really well planted on the back of the boat. That's going to help a lot. And like we've said before, you can use the tiller arm for a bit of security. So here we've got the back of the boat. Get your back foot there under the tiller arm. You can even hook your toes up a bit and use the tiller arm as a kind of makeshift foot strap there, and that is going to then not get sent off the back of the boat. But what might happen is it gets absolutely mangled into the rudder stock, which can be a little bit painful. But those are the methods that I use. If you are going out sailing with a fairly juicy amount of wind, do make sure you are sailing with some sort of fairly decent shoes on. If it's going to be windy, then I generally change up from the Zero Shoes Colorados to the Gull, what they call Code Zero. We've got a Zero theme in the footwear department. The Gull Code Zero boots, which are pretty chunky, which means it doesn't hurt too much. If you've got really lightweight shoes, then pain could be on the menu. All right, scrolling back. By the way, as usual, once the clock hits 45 minutes, I'm not going to be taking any more questions. So let's get them all in now. And by the way, if you have already typed in a question, I haven't got to it yet, that's because I am, of course, going through everything in the order of which it came in. If I haven't said hello yet, then apologies. It's just because I haven't got there yet, and I don't want to be scrolling up and down continuously, because that is time consuming. All right. That's a great question though, Alessandro. Perhaps when and if the wind comes back, I'm sure it will, because it always does. But when the wind comes back, one of the videos I might have a look at is avoiding the Jesus lizard dismount from the back of the boat. Here we go. Adam says, also sales lasers. Need to get my hands on a cat though. Yes, you do. And good choice would be something, of course, like a Hobie 16 or 14 if you're going solo. Sean, hi. Would a Hobie 16 mast and sail, I could see what's coming in it. Love it. I love this sort of thing. Could you put a Hobie 16 rig on a 15-foot cat? I say yes. It's going to be juicy. Depends what sort of 15-foot cat. You will, of course, have to make some sort of fitting for the bottom of the mast to go onto the beam. And you might have to shorten the rigging a bit, because I would guess that the 15-foot catamaran isn't going to be as wide as the Hobie 16. So you might have to customise the length of the rigging. But it is going to be an absolute light wind beast. And then in the heavier wind, it's probably going to be a complete pitch pole machine. Just losing that 1 foot of length is going to mean you haven't got as much leverage against the bows. And exciting times are coming your way. But if you're going to take that on, we absolutely have to see that on Show Us Your Cat, because any kind of Frankenstein boats like that have got to be seen. That's what we want. All right, scrolling back. Scrolling back. All right. Scrolling back. Scrolling back here. Scrolling back. Okay, Isaac. How do you secure your boats? Oh, I'm hoping that you were tuned in when I went through that. But just to go through it very quickly, we use a 1.5 meter piece of metal with a spike at the end, banged into the floor with a sledgehammer with a hole in the top so we could tie a rope to it. And then that means the boats can be tied down to that. We generally put one of these tie downs directly under the middle of the front beam so that we can tie the boat down very securely. There we go. Richard, hi. When do you finish for the season? Thought you'd never ask. Yes, so we're just halfway through our penultimate week here at Wildwind. So we finish the season not this coming Sunday, the Sunday after that. That will be the day that we no longer have any guests staying with us. I am intending on keeping a 16, of course, and Bad Boy 94 built. So if we do get any champagne conditions during the month of October, November, I'll be able to get out there. I'm going to keep the 14 built as well, because why wouldn't you? Yeah, so I think a fleet of 3 boats is surely enough for anyone to have a great time. But yeah, we've got just over a week left. Hi, Robin. It was great to see your boat on Show Us Your Cat, and great to see that you've been out now for the maiden voyage. And I hope you've managed to sort out those small issues that you had. One thing from watching Robin's boat on Show Us Your Cat is that ideally, I know that Jeff has given you the trampoline, but ideally you should still be on the lookout for a different trampoline, because I'm thinking that the trampoline that Jeff gave you was a Hobie 14 trampoline, because you can see there's quite a gap at the back, which is because the 14 is obviously a lot shorter than the 16. So I should keep an eye out for a 16 trampoline. But great to see you getting out there. Good stuff. All right, scrolling back. Scrolling back. Great to have you all on board, by the way. This is the most attended Q&A we've had so far, actually. This is quite exciting. More people on board. There's John again. Now, John was a champion dinghy sailor before he became a kite surfer and a skateboarder. So he's definitely the guy for answering the dinghy sailing questions. The 420 is heavily canvassed, so good for big breeze. There's a truck going backwards. All right, Ian J. McDonald, can you show and talk about your setup on the forestay of the Hobie 16? I have an early 80s Hobie and only have one 7-hole adjuster. What is the purpose? Yes, we can. All right, going for another walk. I'm sort of walking between the Tornado and the 16. This is the general route that I'm taking just now. Yeah, so tomorrow, 5:30, there'll be the new video, which will be on how to gauge your rig tension without a gauge. That is exciting. Okay, taking a look here. So this is the scheme that we're looking at on our 16s. We have 2 chain plates on the front. So what you've probably got is something similar to this, and then the forestay directly onto here. But because on a 16, the rig tension is taken on the jib, that means your forestay is just going to be dangling about once you've taken the strain off it. So the reason we have the second chain plate is so that when the jib goes up, the jib will attach down here on the second hole, maybe the third. Then we have elastic here. That elastic pulls this chain plate forwards, which tensions the forestay and stops the forestay from flapping around like a wizard's wand. So that is why we're running the two chain plate system on the forestay. Now I need to have a look. I've said this before, but I haven't got round to it. But I believe Murray's, the big stockist in America, has got actually a custom-made fitting, which is a lot more tidy and very nice. I'm certainly going to try to remember to take a look at that and see if I can get hold of a couple, because it's a better arrangement than this and worth a look. And I think the catamaran sailing community need to see that. Thanks very much. That was a very good question there, Ian. Scrolling back. Scrolling back. This is Ash.
Hello.
Ash can almost taste the beer now. Oh. It's almost at the end of the day. Have you already had one? Oh, he can definitely taste the beer. All right. Scrolling back. All right, scrolling back. I think I'm going to stay mobile for a bit. Wow, a lot of scrolling back here. All right. Garamvari, thanks for the answer. I want to learn to sail with a Spinnaker properly. That is why I want a monohull. Yeah, but don't exclude the catamaran for learning to sail with a Spinnaker. A lot of catamarans these days feature a Spinnaker, and you still have to learn the proper technique for Spinnaker sailing on a catamaran. But if you're saying you want to learn how to sail with a symmetrical Spinnaker, then yes, the 420 is certainly the right route to take there, or a good route to take there. Tobias, what are your projects for next year's for Wildwind? New boats, maybe a foiling catamaran? Yes, well, on the cards this year, we were due to be getting a foiling Viper F16, which, to be honest, I was so excited. I was twitching at the thought. But of course, because of losing half the season, that didn't happen, because spending that amount of money on something that is quite exclusive was not seemed to be a good idea at the time. So maybe there's a chance of the foiling Viper, but we still are, although you may think, oh, Don, you've got a good 50 odd boats there. Yes, you'd be right. But these 50 odd boats are like needy children, and these boats need a lot. So whether we can actually afford to spend a significant amount of cash on a very fancy flying machine is yet to be seen. Depends how well the winter goes, what the global situation is like, and how our bookings are coming. So there we go. Oh yes, Ewan, I did mention maybe getting a contender. We had, whoa, sorry, bit of a tripod blowout there. Sorry, it's the dangers of live broadcasting. Yeah, I did mention we might be getting a contender out here on holiday. Last year we had Kay from Germany, who is heavily involved in the German Contender Class Association, and he's very keen for us to get a contender out here for people to come and try. So watch this space and maybe we'll get a contender. If you didn't know, a contender is a single-handed monohull with a trapeze. Quite a classic design, but it'll be great fun anyway. All right, scrolling back, scrolling back, scrolling back, scrolling back, scrolling back. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of scrolling. All right, thanks for the question, Tobias. MTB Mark. Well, I'm assuming that's the Mark that I know, who's called Mountain Bike Mark. Mountain Bike Mark says, afternoon, keep on fat biking. Oh yeah, I think surely once you go fat, you never go back. Why would you? Alexander, hey Joe, have you found a good second-hand Hobie 16 for me? I guess mine is almost toast. All right, Alexander, if you let us know where you are. Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think you're in, were you in Croatia? When I get to that, I'll spread the word that you're looking for a 16. Secrets best for beginners. Kite surfing, that is the same Mark that I was thinking. Yeah, there are great spots up at the north end of the island for kite surfing. Very user friendly. Hayden says it's 10:47 here in Ohio. I'd now guess that that's 11:08 in Ohio, USA. Good to know. 7:48 in Oregon. Wow, the USA has got time zones. That is quite a jump. Hi Graham, good to have you on board. Hello Damien, what are your opinion about Nacra catamarans? Interesting question. Now I think you could argue, well, you don't even have to argue. Nacra is the company that are doing the most with catamarans at this time, with such a broad range of catamarans available, both the new designs and the classic designs that they have got in the back catalogue. Nacra have really got a boat for everyone. Now, I can't comment too much on the durability and the build quality because we've never had Nacras here, because we've always very much been a Hobie place, and Hobie has been doing us proud for the last 35 years. But Nacra's very good, really something for everyone there, from the 17, which is the fully foiling Olympic class, down to the 500, which is a skeg-hulled boat, good for the beach. And then, of course, you've got the boats with the FCS flight control system, such as the 20, which is one of the ultimate foiling catamarans available at the moment. Of course, the Nacra 15, which is the youth training class, which is also foiling available as well on that. Nacra have really got it covered. So if you say, should I buy a Nacra? If there's one at a good price and it does what you want it to do, then of course. But nothing does what the Hobie 16 does as well as the Hobie 16. That is all that I could say there. Okay, scrolling back. Good question about the Nacras there. But I'd love to get my hands on some Nacras to test some out. That would be great. James says, hit the like and buy a flag. These are very wise words. We are actually at this time fresh out of Tequila Sunrise flags. But if anybody wants one, I'll get some more made. If anybody wants some, I'll get some more made. And what I'm going to do is actually get a lot of them shipped to the US, so then I'll be able to supply them in America without such a long time for them to get to you. There we are. Thank you, James. James knows about this stuff. Sail Dan. The times I've capsized have been mostly during jibes, especially in the big wind. The boom slams over and the quarterback is toast. The transom lifts, so I lose rudder. What tips to quell my fear of the jibe? That's a great way of putting it. All right, to quell your fear of the jibe there, Sail Dan. Main thing is timing in the heavy winds. So get the boat going on a proper catamaran sailor's broad reach first. The proper catamaran sailor's broad reach, flipping it round, is we need to have some sort of wind indicator on the front of the boat. Here we like to use cassette tape or videotape like this. The catamaran sailor's broad reach is with this flying directly across the boat. So this is point A for a better jibe. Make sure that is flying straight across the boat. If it's going too far forwards, you're too far downwind, you need to head up. If it's flying too far backwards, you're going too far upwind, you need to come down a bit. Then, the ideal time to go for the jibe is you get hit by a gust. The gust will make the boat go faster, bringing this bad boy back. So then you can bear away. And by bearing away, what that is doing is reducing your jibing angle so you don't have to turn as far. And then, but don't jibe immediately as you bear away and wait until the boat has got kind of like a freewheeling feel. So you take the gust, you absorb the gust, then maybe the gust will back off a little bit. That's the time to poke it through. And when you go for the jibe, you need to be going for it with confidence. If you slow your turn down just before the boom comes across, that's when you're going to experience the terror of a big slammy jibe. So don't straighten the rudders up until the boom has come across. And then if it is a particularly windy one, as soon as the boom comes across, straighten the rudders up, and if necessary, tweak the boat back downwind a little bit, but not so much that you jibe again. That's what's gonna help. Okay, next time it's windy, I know it might not actually be till next year now, but I'll go out and do a specific high wind jibing video because I think that is both great fun, but also I think a lot of people could benefit from that. Thank you very much. That was a great question there, Sail Dan. Colin. Hey, Joseph, love your video. Super informative. Thanks, Colin. Love yours too. Ever heard of a company called Mako? Oh, I've heard of them, but that's as far as it goes. I couldn't tell you any more about that. I've found a 15-foot cat near me with an aluminium two-piece mast, mainsail and jib, good trampoline, but the hulls were full of water and the bungs were loose. Maybe the bungs being loose is what resulted in the hulls being full of water. Let's hope so. And continuing, owner wanted 400 buckaroos, talked him down to 250. Then when I was going to pick it up, I found water in the hulls and walked away. He said he'd drop the price again. Who knows how that water could have got in the hulls. And for $250, to have a 15-foot catamaran and with a good trampoline, that is an amazing price to get on the water. So I would have a good look at just have a good inspection of the hulls, look at the fittings on the hulls, give them a little wiggle, see if they're loose at all, and if it all looks all right, perhaps the water was in the hulls before, or perhaps you just need to take some of the fittings off, get some sealant, reseal it, put the fittings back in. But $250 for a boat which will get you out there, that is a bargain. Especially if you're sailing on a lake, because to take a $250 boat out to sea, I'd say perhaps the safety of doing that might be a little bit sketchy. Get yourself a good paddle, spend the $250, and then spend some time looking at the boat, making sure that it is seaworthy. Maybe definitely replace the rigging, and then get out there and send it. I think this all sounds like a great idea. But please don't come back to me when you say, yeah, I bought it and the boat sunk and it was a terrible idea. I might be able to, might be able to get it with a good trailer. What? For $150 with a trailer? Whew. That is ridiculous what a good price that is. Because any good trailer you could sell for at least $400. So he's giving that away. He just wants somebody to enjoy that boat, I think. How fast have you ever been with a cat? Interesting you should ask. The fastest speed that I've actually done with a GPS has been 25.6 knots. That was with a Hobie 16 in a furious amount of wind. And it's actually documented in a video from about 3 or 4 years ago called, I think the clickbaity thumbnail said something along the lines of Hobie 16 fastest ever, because at the time I thought that was the fastest ever. Since then we've got, is it Trey and Steve in Florida who've banged in a 26, chasing that. Rodrigo, can you tell me the length of a bridle wire of the Hobie 16? Yes, let's go on a tour. I need to get a tape measure. All right, let's keep scrolling. I'll come back to that. Be great to see you, Joe. BC, sorry, great to see you, Joe. Looking good as usual. Oh, you're very kind. Yeah, perhaps a bit personal grooming required. Is that Ilya from Moscow? Oh, it is Ilya from Moscow. Hi. Do svidaniya. Tim says, how fast can... Oh, hello. This is a good one. This is juicy. Can you go on a Hobie 15 solo? I did 14.4 on a Dart 15. Is that reasonable? I only weigh 60 kilos. That all seems very reasonable. I think on a Dart 15 or a Hobie 15 solo, 60 kilos, I think you're probably looking at about 17 knots top speed before it all just gets a bit too emotional and can he take no more, Captain? Yeah, so 17 knots would be the top speed. So 14.4 is a very respectable speed. If you're not yet on the speed stick, then I should email that in and I'll get you on the speed stick. That would be great. Just encountering some traffic on the way to getting a tape measure. Oh my goodness, the workshop's full of sales. Got a tape measure. We're now going back to the Hobie 16s. Just weaving through. We've got some hard working dudes here. It's been a tough day on the Wildwind Beach. Strong day. Yeah. All right, let's see. All right, so that, I'll just see if Kush says, please hit the like button, sailors. Yes, please do. That's good, because what's nice is other people can watch this when it's not live anymore, and it means perhaps somebody might get some information that they want. All right, Alf, all from Canmore. How much weight is too much on double trapeze? What year was that boat? 1982. So, question here is 200 kilos too much for a 1982 Hobie 16? I think if you were double trapezing in 25 knots of wind every day, 200 kilos, what's that? That's a 40-year-old Hobie 16. Perhaps it might be a little bit juicy, and the bit that I would worry about would be where the pylons go into the hulls, because that's going to take the stress. Perhaps the transoms where the rudders go on, that's going to take some stress as well. But if you're just doing it occasionally with that much weight on a boat that old, I think you should be all right. I think they're very strong, especially the old boats, very strong. All right, I'm currently measuring a Hobie 16 bridle wire. Just going to put this down. Hold on. God, it's not easy. This is multitasking. All right, so what we're looking at is from one end to the other end. Okay, we're metric here. 113 centimeters. I say again, Hobie 16 bridle wire, 113 centimeters. If anybody would like me to measure anything else while I've got a tape measure in my hand, get in there quick. We are actually over time for more questions to come in, because the timer is now saying 51 minutes, and I'm trying to keep this to 1 hour and no more, because more is too much. Nobody can do this for more than an hour, I'm telling you. It's almost impossible. Hold on, now this has gone a bit wonky. All right, so we're in the last 10 minutes, so this is more of the quick fire answers to the questions. All right, here we go. Kuro 5150, planning to change my trapeze system to an adjustable one, but the wire part seems too long. How high should the handle be above the deck? Tape measure question. All right, so just flipping this round. Having all sorts of trouble here. All right, so here's bad boy 94 with the adjustable system. The higher that you have your handle above the deck, this is going to give you more range, and it's also going to be more comfortable. But I would say this distance is pretty good. So the handle here, 72 metric centimeters. 72 centimeters is a good distance there for the handle to be above the deck. Very well done for having the 4-4. No more questions, please. You'll have to save those up for next week, and we'll get onto them next week. All right, scrolling back. Okay, so the trapeze, Sean, it's going on the Venture. Can't wait to show it. Keep the vids coming. Nice, looking forward to that. Christopher, hi Joe, Chris from Newport, Rhode Island, I believe that is. Thank you for all your videos. I have a 1978 Hobie 16. My question of how big of the swells have you played in? Have you got an air? What's it like? Before I started working here, I was sailing on the east coast of England, where the place that I sailed from had some fairly steep waves, and I used to sail a Dart 18 single-handed, not your classic choice for jumping, but yeah, I've had the rudders out a few times, and it was definitely a game that I enjoyed playing. But it is quite bad for your boat to go out jumping, wave jumping in your catamaran all the time, because that is a lot of stress on absolutely everything. Feels great though. Okay, Scoop, hi Scoop. Can you make a video on mounting a Spinnaker on a Hobie 16? Yeah, I made a video on... Yeah, the way to do that would be for me to get hold of a Spinnaker kit and actually go through the process of mounting it. But I did make a video maybe last year or the year before about what do you need to put a Spinnaker on your boat. So that video is already out there. So perhaps if I fail to remember to put the link to that video there somewhere, if once this is uploaded, if you leave a comment once this video is actually like a normal video saying could you put the link to that video, then I'll put the link to that video, if you know what I mean. Okay, Jacob, quick question, where is the Wildwind Boat Park? Looks lovely and lovely. Very good question there. Wildwind Sailing Holidays is located on the Greek island of Lefkos, and that's on the west side of Greece, just down from Corfu, and just up from just down there, that's Kefalonia, which was famous for Captain Corelli's mandolin, if you've heard of that. That was a book, but then a movie with Nicolas Cage, put the bunny back in the box. Yeah, and the town is Vasiliki, very famous for windsurfing because of the great wind that we get here. James has got a vinyl trampoline he will donate. Ha ha ha. I think, Robin, you should get in touch with James there. James is JC Cowboy 123 and he's offering up a vinyl trampoline. I think this is where the magic happens. Robin had my old 14 tramp on there temporarily until... Okay, nice. Okay, I see what's going on there. So James, you're off the hook. Robin's got the right trampoline, but in the video it wasn't on at that time. Ian, thanks for answering the chain plate questions. Tuning in from Canada in Halliburton Highlands, where normal times return. I'll book a Wildwind holiday. Nice, good luck. I'll look forward to seeing you. Do you have a winterizing a Hobie 16 video? No, I don't think I've done that, but I'll be doing quite a lot of that soon, so we'll be looking. Ewan, did you mention you could be getting a contender? Oh yeah, did mention that, and yes, I'll be doing a review when we get that. It'll be hilarious. Cat sailor on a monohull. Do you feel a big... Oh, here we go. Do you... Sebastian asks, do you feel a big difference between classical rudder and EPO 3 on Hobie Tiger? We haven't actually put EPO 3s on our Tigers because they're just too damn expensive, and not quite as necessary on the Tiger. The reason we fitted all of our 16s with EPO 3s is because the White Knight rudder blades, which are the previous construction, like that's the construction you get standard on a Tiger, they were just snapping all the time on the Hobie 16. So we desperately needed the upgrade, and the EPO 3s on the 16, absolutely fantastic. But they are a different shape to the standard Hobie Tiger rudder blade, so I don't think they would work perfectly on the Hobie Tiger. I would stick to the White Knight blades on the Tiger. There's a lot less load on the rudders of a Tiger than there is on the rudders of a Hobie 16. So I'd keep your Tiger blades standard. Robin asks, how do you attach your camera to the Forestay? Okay, just going to check there's nothing else I need to get from the workshop. All right, no more questions, please. Right, I think I have made a video about this, Robin, but because it's you, I'm gonna go and see if I can find my Forestay mount that I use. It's a very good one. I have taken it apart recently, but the same mount also does the masthead mount for the Hobie 16. So it's an incredibly versatile mounting solution. Right, I'm just going into the Hall of Mounts. You might find this a little bit dark. This is actually where a lot of the videos are made, in this very dark place. Oh, here we are, found it. That was good. All right, coming back out. And here we go. I'm not going to go all the way back to the Hobie 16s. We're going to have a look at this on a 15, but that has exactly the same Forestay arrangement. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. eBay is a great source of GoPro bits and pieces that you can get from China. If you buy stuff from China, it takes ages to arrive, but when it does arrive, you get stuff like this. So what you could use is another chain plate like this instead of this black piece that I've got. And then what I'm doing is putting this up here, using 2 bolts to clamp it in position, and then the GoPro goes on the end there, and there you go. Simple, easy, and quick to mount. And then if you want to put it at the top of the mast, you just put a longer bolt through one of the holes, top of the mast, easy. There we are. Okay, scrolling back. Got to tie this up very shortly. To 2026 Nicholas, yeet. What is the worst accident you've had on a Hobie 16? Nothing really that bad, actually, touch wood. I've done some pretty juicy capsizes, lost a fair bit of skin, but never anything too juicy on the 16, I'm glad to say, and hopefully I'll be able to continue. In fact, probably one of the worst accidents I've had with a 16 is where the crew I was sailing with actually got injured. It was a very, very gusty wind, and the boat stopped. We were double trapezing. Here we are, let's recreate this. We were double trapezing. The boat stopped quite aggressively. The crew went flying forwards, kind of did like a 360, and she went backwards into the mast, hitting her head on the mast pretty hard. And that is another reason for the crash helmet, and what a good idea that is. So if the conditions look dangerous, can you afford not to protect your head? I'm a new convert to this. It's only since last year that I've started wearing a crash helmet, since I had some concussion, and I can tell you, concussion is not a fun time. So put the helmet on. Thank you, Alessandro. Hi, Sickroft. Cormac has a Dart 16. He sent it in on Show Us Your Cat. Nice, looking forward to it. Opinion on the Shadow. Yeah, very nice single-handed boat. It's a shame that the Shadow was designed before the Formula 16 class came out, because I don't think it quite fits with the Formula 16 class. So it, as a sort of cheaper alternative to a Formula 16, good choice, I'd say. All right, we're on quick answers now, by the way. Oh, all right, here we are. Germans fan, hi guys, hi. Germans fan, Colin, thank you for the answer. I decided to go for it. Lake sailing in Indiana, nice. Cormac, C2 or NACRA 18. As I said earlier, I don't really know, I haven't really sailed the NACRAs very much, and the C2 is an absolute loaded weapon, so we're going C2 all of the way. Do you like the Condor 16? Not so familiar with that. The only Condor that I know is quite a classic design. Never sailed one, so I can't really comment on that one. Germans fan, oh, I'm too late. Yeah, sorry man for this week, but if you want to tune in earlier next week. Jacob, hey guys, maybe you could tell me which island Joe's on. I think I just answered that. This week I had to save a driverless tornado with the sails tightened. I jumped on board from my 16. It was hilarious. That sort of thing is hilarious. I love it too. Okay. Scrolling back. Life hacks. There's some sort of picture of a light bulb with a book. Excellent. Thank you, Life Hacks. Sebastian, thank you. Colonel Failure. Afternoon Skipper. Yes, if you like video games, you should tune in to the Colonel Failure channel, where video games are evident at all times. Evening. Mr. Colonel Failure happens to be my brother, who is winning at life. And if you like the sort of delivery you get from me and you like video games, you should check him out, because you get, obviously the delivery isn't quite as good, not as polished or splendid, but it's still pretty good, worth a look. And the train driving ones are particularly good, and the farming, worth a look there. Colonel Failure, that is. Robin, wow, that's awesome. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Robin. Thanks for tuning in, being a part of this international Joyrider TV community. Oh, by Germans fan, in and out. That's how you do it. Dawson says, have you sailed a Dart 18? What sort of question is that? Of course I have. I used to sail a Dart 18 before I was working out here in Greece and met the Hobie 16. I sailed a Dart 18 for about 10 years, did a lot of the competitions, loved my Dart 18. It's a great boat, and don't ever let yourself tell anyone otherwise. Very good boat. Okay, cheers, Kuro 5150. Sorry, I can't remember your name, although we've just had a discussion. Eustace, please go sail. Love to. James, get yourself a cold one. Will do. Can't wait, actually. Jacob, thanks, Joe. Have a nice evening. Thanks, Jake. Saying that we've gone on a bit too long. Laser and Hobie Tiger owner in Houston, Texas. Oh, thanks very much, Sebastian. It's good to know that it's working. David, I'm a French fan of yours. Very practical videos. Nice one. Darren, have you ever sailed the GCAT 5.7? No. Someone else was asking about the GCAT 5.7 earlier, and this is not a boat we ever talk about. Is this a coincidence, or is this the planets coming into alignment? I think probably the latter. You are the best sailor on YouTube. You're just too kind. But thanks very much. Right, I'm just off now. So thanks very much for tuning in. Went out sailing on the Dart 18 on Val Dam in South Africa a couple of weekends ago. Great fun. And why wouldn't it be? Any catamaran is better than no catamaran at all. Prindle 19, every time. All right, I've got to go. Thanks very much. And I'll see you soon. I'll see you next Wednesday, in fact, for some more of this. Thanks, Hayden.